time talking about time off, something I hope we can all really appreciate. So quickly, a quick summary of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with what seems like a pretty simple question: what is time off? I certainly appreciate that. I might think I know exactly what time off is, but I think we're going to see a little bit of a clearer idea of what we really mean, because it really lends itself to the strategy of what we have to do to really make sure we're able to get it and take it. And then we're going to get into the benefits of why we think time off is so important to us. And then, as we say at the top of this first slide, we're going to give you 5 key tips that we think really make a big difference in being successful in taking that time off. So what is time off, really? Well, I think the best summary of it that I've seen is this, and that's time off is rejuvenation and enjoyment of physical, mental, psychological, and emotional capabilities. Complete separation and freedom from work-related activities and obligations are required. Now, I think the key for us in terms of what we're trying to suggest is the real complete separation and freedom from work-related activities. Again, I appreciate that that may sound simple in its theory, and in fact, all of what we're going to talk about today is simple in theory, but of course not necessarily easy to effect in practice. So we're really looking for a complete separation. We'll talk a little bit more about how we think that's going to work. So the importance of taking time off and getting that real complete freedom and separation from work is really, first of all, to get a rest and to improve generally our temperament. You know, I certainly know it's for myself, and maybe there's some others on the call or on the webinar who may feel this way, that when you're stressed out, not always the nicest person in the world. I appreciate that I could certainly improve some of the ways in which I say things. Maybe things come out differently than I really meant them to, and of course at that point, it's already out. You can't do anything back. You can't take it back. So really what we're talking about is really looking for a way to rest up and get back to that basic ground zero for you in terms of being able to be yourself. And at the same time, we also want to make sure that we're taking an opportunity to continue to either discover and or develop new interests, things that allow us to maintain interest in ourselves and in other people. So I don't know if anyone's seen the movie The Shining, but all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy. What we're talking about really is making sure that we're not just working people, and that we have a whole lot more to us than just our jobs. And so for myself, one of the things I'll be doing this holiday break is teaching my daughter how to ski. So while skiing is already an interest of mine, developing my daughter's interest and sharing time with her on the ski hill is something that I'll certainly rejuvenate from. It might wear me out, but it's going to be great. The other thing that's really important with taking this time off is to make sure that we reconnect with our friends and our family. Again, I know for myself in the past I've been very good at working, and you know, it's easy to take for granted our friends and our family, and they start to be, you know, we train them. You know, this is the way we're going to be. We're going to work through the holidays. We're going to work late at night, and we're not going to figure out. We're not going to take the time to necessarily sit down and really rest and really take time off. And so it's a real opportunity to reconnect with those people who are really important to you, your friends and your family, and remember that, you know, all the great reasons why they are so important to you, and to allow yourself the time to have meaningful conversations. Go out and, you know, get into some trouble, but make sure you can get out of it, and you know, reconnect in a way that is fundamental and really inspiring to you. So, I mean, at the end of the day, when we're able to do these things, what we're really talking about is the opportunity to come back in the new year and to experience through the holidays a real increase in your creativity and the commitment that you have to your work, but also to your friends and your family, because you've had the opportunity and you've taken it to reconnect with them and to reestablish the integrity and the importance of those relationships. Okay. I should say, just as a quick aside, if you have questions throughout at any point, by all means, please feel free to send them on invite. If you could type them in, we can pull them up. And at the end of the day, we'll certainly get to all the questions by the end of this their webinar. One of the things that we've come across, of course, is that there's a bit of a myth out there in the sense that, particularly for people who feel like they're concerned that if they take time off, they're going to lose their clients, or the relationship with their boss will be fractured because the boss will start thinking maybe they're not willing to work very hard, or they're in the middle of a big project and they feel, how can I possibly walk away from this now? People will be disappointed with me. I'll let people down. All of which makes perfect sense. Right? I'm not suggesting that any of that doesn't make sense. But the myth is in the concept that those people themselves are going to somehow look at you in a way that's going to be less. It's going to effectively put you in a lesser position in their views. And Mark Twain has a great quote here, in that it isn't what people don't know that gets them into trouble, but rather the belief in things that aren't true. So the idea that we can't take time off, otherwise we're going to be lesser workers, or we're going to lose our clients, or we're going to be lesser bosses to the people who report to us. There's a fallacy in that statement, insofar as long as we're taking the time to make sure that we prepare the people we work for and the people we work with and the clients we service, as long as they all know that we're taking the time off and we've done our homework, if you will, we've prepared, no one's going to think anything less of us. So we can park that myth and allow ourselves to get into a headspace that will really facilitate resting and relaxing and reconnecting, as we were discussing earlier. All right, so a lot of theory so far. That's great. And some of you might be saying, okay, Dan, great. How do you expect me to really do this? And as you can see here, one of the most important things is to do whatever we can to break our connection and our dependency on the technologies that we rely on to do our jobs. These are tools, and they really do help us in getting our jobs done, but at the same time, they can abuse us. Right? We can be slaves to them, and I personally have certainly lived this life. I know what it's like, and it's important for us to be able to say to them, essentially at the beginning of our vacations, all right, you guys, you take some time off too. I don't want to personify them too much, but at the end of the day, the better we can separate ourselves from our BlackBerries, from our iPhones, whatever system it is that you're using, the easier it is for you to be able to actually take that full, remember the definition that we're working with in terms of what is time off, the complete separation and freedom from work-related matters. So this is, of course, a very important way for us to be able to make sure that we're able to get that isolation that we need in order to have the real freedom and time off. Another important tool, particularly in the context of what we were discussing earlier as it relates to making sure that we've put people on notice and that we've done our homework to prepare ourselves. When we're talking about putting our BlackBerries and our iPhones down, one of the most important things we can do, of course, is make use of the technology that's built into them, and that's the opportunity to put on these out-of-office alerts on both our emails and our phones, and make sure that we've set up we set ourselves up for success, as well as the people who will be covering for us, by indicating to people who are emailing when you're going to be able to get back to them, if you're going to be able to get back to them, and what the emergencies, if something is an emergency for your clients or for someone who's calling in, make sure that there's an emergency contact set up, and that the person that you're making the emergency contact knows that that's their role for the time that you're away, so that that person themselves is set up for success. Because it's important for that person to understand what could possibly happen to the best of your ability to anticipate it. So the more you can set them up for success, the more you're going to be able to relax when you start taking the vacation. Similarly, an important aspect of that is to make sure that you actually assert the fact that you're on vacation. Again, to the comments about the myth, it's not a problem to tell people that you're on vacation. Again, as long as they know that they're otherwise going to be able to get whatever it is they need while you're on vacation. So I appreciate myself. I've come from a Bay Street law firm environment, and I know that certain cultures perhaps aren't as sympathetic as others, and I get that. But at the same time, it is important for us to each make sure we're looking after ourselves, and one of the ways we can be sure to be doing that is by asserting the vacation and making sure that we coordinated the out of office and the emergency contact if necessary. So, I mean, at the end of the day, what that's giving us is the real confidence in knowing that whatever comes in, whether it's a phone call or an email, that we can have confidence in our team and in the fact that the system is going to make sure that it gets dealt with. End of the day, the reality is some of you may be sole practitioners, you may be the owners of your own businesses, and you know the call comes in, it comes to you and only you. You have no one to whom you can delegate. And in that case, one of the things you can do to assert the vacation is to make sure that you're indicating I'm on vacation and I can only actually check my email and my voicemail sporadically, but I will be sure to be doing so within 24 hours and I'll get back to you, so that what we can do is recognize the importance of the time off, but at the same time, and to be able to focus that throughout the day, but to set aside a bit of an hour perhaps at the end of the day to make sure that nothing of an emergency has come up. And you know, at this point, it's certainly important to recognize that none of what we're talking about today are we expecting anyone to be able to sort of turn a light switch and boom, perfection, right? What we're really talking about is making sure that we're working towards progress, right? You know, if your experience is that you want to take time off, but you're never able to take time off, then you know, getting to the point where you're parking your BlackBerries, you're checking your voicemail only once a day rather than any time you get a beep on your BlackBerry or the phone rings, that's progress, and that's something that we can take to make sure that we're able to reassert the fact that we're on vacation. We can get that rest and the rejuvenation that comes from it. Okay. Another way that's really important is to be sure that we're leaving all what I've called physical evidence of work at work. Essentially, I'm talking about papers, I'm talking about books, files, whatever's going to be visibly apparent to you as it sits on your desk or sits inside your front door, in your briefcase, wherever it is you put work that you bring home. One of two things is going to happen. Either it sits there at the front door and it sort of glares at you as you walk by it every time you pass by, and you think, oh, there's that work, and oh, I haven't done any of it yet, oh, and the guilt starts to potentially overtake you. Or you actually deal with it and you don't actually get the vacation that you're planning to do. So what we're suggesting for you is to leave that at the office. You're on vacation, take your vacation. It's important for us. So let's leave the work at home, at the office. Let's not bring it home so that we're not otherwise putting ourselves in a position where we're setting ourselves up for failure, one way or the other. Either the guilt kicks in or we end up doing the work either way. So a fourth suggestion for you tactically is to stay busy with your friends and family. This is again, one of the main purposes of taking a vacation in the first place, right? One great suggestion that was once made to me was to effectively, for anyone who has children or if you have partners in your lives, essentially give yourself to them and say, all right, you know what, whatever we're doing today, it's entirely up to you. So I'm yours. I have no decision-making power whatsoever today. And it's really interesting. I did this with my daughter not too long ago, and I was really fascinated by how much television she wanted to watch. But at the same time, how she really wanted to just tootle about the neighborhood on a toboggan. And it was great. She was giddy the whole time, kept falling out, and it allowed us to have a connection that we hadn't had in a long time. And it allowed me, for the second comment here, to really get back to feeling human and to realize, you know what, life is great. I do have a lot to feel grateful for, and I'm going to be able to really focus on that throughout the next week, 2 weeks, depending on how long you're going to take your vacation. And I'm going to be able to focus on my friends and my family. And by doing that, I'm going to be able to reconnect and really, really build on the relationships that I have. Because they do have that expectation, and it's important to remind them that it is a new regime. That you're not going to take the quote vacation where it's really a working vacation. It's not a real vacation. So related to all of these is the idea that we do need to communicate. Communication is, of course, a very important piece to the whole success of all this. And if you're able to anticipate for people that you will be away, talk to your clients, talk to your work colleagues, talk to your friends and family. Make sure that everybody understands that you will be on vacation. They know when you're coming back. and they know what's going to happen while you're gone, who they can rely on, who they can turn to, and frankly, what needs to happen in the case of emergency. So what you're doing is setting you and others up for success, but it also is it's allowing them to not be surprised when they do call and they find, what do you mean you're on vacation? You didn't tell me you're on vacation. I need you. You have to be here. So there are ways that we can certainly set ourselves up and our clients up for appreciating what's going to happen and not be surprised by it. And therefore, again, back to the myth, another way and another reason for understanding that your relationships aren't going to be negatively affected by taking time off. I mean, an interesting thing to consider is if you look around you at your place of employment, whether you're the boss or whether you're not the boss, how many weeks of work are people taking, how many weeks of vacation are people actually taking during the course of the year? And how much are you taking? It's important to recognize that everybody needs to take the break. Everybody needs to regenerate and to rejuvenate, because it's in that rejuvenation that we're able to effectively recommit and get the creativity back into work. So another way that you're able to really get the success out of this is to, in this, the last check mark here, be accountable. Ask your friends and your family to effectively say to you, Dan, you said you were going to take a vacation. Why are you checking your BlackBerry? Oh, right. And so they're able to, hopefully in a non-judgmental way, but I'll leave that to your own relationships, but in a way that's going to remind you that you made a commitment. You made a commitment to yourself, you made a commitment to your friends and your family, and you made a commitment to your work that you are going to take time off. You're going to rejuvenate and regenerate and return recommitted with greater creativity. So there's a real benefit to having people understand that you've made this commitment and to hold you accountable to it. So I think hopefully what you've been able to get from what we've been talking about today is clear understanding of certainly what we mean by time off, and that really is the need to have a complete separation and freedom from work-related matters. And hopefully we understand now how we don't always do that when we're on vacation. We allow ourselves some distractions and some slips, if you will. And, so be it. But again, it's the accountability, right? If we really are going to commit to the time off, let's commit to it. And if we slip, okay, it's progress. But let's be reminded of it. Let's rededicate ourselves to vacation again and back onto the commitment. So the reason we want to make sure that we're truly committed to the vacation is because of the benefits that come from it. It really does allow us to reinvigorate ourselves and rededicate ourselves to our work. And ultimately, our friends and family will be reminded how important they are to us. And it is awfully easy to take them for granted when they are there all the time. We want to make sure that they appreciate how much we appreciate them. So this is the opportunity to really make sure that happens. And of course, the 5 suggestions that we have, and there are of course others, but in our opinion, these are the 5 key ones that are really going to make the biggest difference for us. If we're able to really divorce ourselves from our electronic leashes, and we're able to park them at the door, or turn them off, and if we're able to actually use the out-of-office systems that are built into these things, and we're able to not bring work home, and we're able to make sure that we have the team set up to support us so that we can commit to our friends and our family, and we make sure that the people we work with and we work for understand what the rules are for us, and that we have a contingency plan in place, and therefore everybody can relax and know that everyone's well taken care of. And if we're able to do all of this, then our success factor in terms of asserting and realizing the vacation will be significantly improved. And we think that this is a great formula, if you will, to making sure that you're able to do that. Now, I appreciate that's a lot of information thrown at you in a very short period of time. What questions do you have? Okay, I've got a question here that says, what if my boss is continually contacting me during time off? Last year he contacted me at the ski hill. I think one of the things that we want to be doing in terms of responding to this is to, obviously in the moment, you need to deal with it. But at the same time, remind your boss of your new rules the fact that you are on vacation, you'll deal with this, but at the end of the day, you need to remind your boss that you're on vacation, that this is really important to you, and that you have contingency plans in place, and who's the person then that the boss should be speaking to. Because it's important that your boss understand the importance for you to this time. Another question I have here, what do I do if my business and personal calls and emails go to the same device? Well, that's a great question. I mean, I certainly am in that position myself. Many of you others might be as well. One of the things that I do is I turn it off, and I have separate. I can tell whether it's a personal email or a work email, and I always go back to my home screen so that each of these separate emails is it's just an icon that says that's your work email, that's your Gmail email. So I can tell if I've got a work email or a personal email. So I can choose to just read my work emails or choose to just read my personal emails. So obviously during a vacation like this, I would suggest to you set it up so that you can have your home screen be this, not be automatically pulling up all of your emails, but just your personal, or just the icons rather, so you can just click on the personal ones. And then similarly with the phone's a little bit trickier, but with the advent, of course, with call display, it makes it a little bit easier for us to appreciate who is calling us. Some people have blocked numbers. I think at the end of the day, use your discretion, but you can always let it go to voicemail. They can leave you a message, and if you feel like you really need to because you don't know who's calling, you can do that checking at the end of the day. Spend an hour or two at the end of the day if you need to. Another question here. The people I work with are also the people I socialize with. We always talk business. What do I do? All right, good. It's not uncommon for people to have a pretty tight network at work that is also part of a social network. So again, I think one of the things that we can do in this instance is just remind people what the rules are. It might sound a little bit trite, but you're going out, say, hey, Michael, great. I know we've got stuff to talk about, but tonight we're not talking about work. And invariably work might come up. So when it does, be polite and just say something along the lines of, wait a second, I think you're trying to talk to me about work. I'll just answer that one quickly, but we're not going to talk about it again. So it's just, again, remembering that this is progress, right? We want to make sure that we're in a position where we feel empowered in our vacation and confident that we need this time and this time is important. And frankly, it's important to Michael too, even if he doesn't appreciate it. So you'd be doing him a favor as well. Oh, here's a good one. I do not know what to do with my time off. All right, fair enough. Hopefully, earlier in the conversation, you might have managed to get a couple of suggestions that might resonate for you. But I think at the end of the day, you can do whatever. There might be, in the back of your head, maybe you've got these nigglings of things that you might have a should list. Oh, I should have done this, or I should have taken that course, or I should have gone and spent some more time with my dad, or whatever the shoulds might be. You can check that list. There might be some good suggestions on a should list. At the end of the day, though, all of this is about making sure that you are getting rejuvenated, and friends and family is always an easy place to start. And if you need suggestions, again, take the suggestion and say, look, mom, dad, sister, brother, daughter, son, I'm yours. Let's do what you want to do today, and I'm just going to follow and be enthusiastic in it. I'm not going to check my work BlackBerry. I'm not going to answer my work phone. We're just going to have a great day. And I think you might be surprised at how many other ideas actually start coming into your head because you've opened yourself to the possibility of enjoying not work time. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any other questions. Once again, I want to thank you very much for your time this afternoon. And if there's anything that anybody wanted to follow up with us on, by all means, feel free. Our number's on the screen here. It's also on our website, rightmountain.com. Feel free to give us a call anytime. We'd be happy to discuss this or anything else that's related to your careers. I hope you all are able to have a very fun and exciting vacation, whatever it is that you're doing with your time off. Thank you very much. Happy holidays.